Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming and to celebrate with us for the book launching of Learning from Asia in Education, How the West Can Learn from the East in 21st Century. So I would like to also welcome our online participants as well. Good morning, everyone, and they're joining from different countries. And today it's I think, a very special day because 1 year ago, exactly on 31st October, I was standing here as a presenter, as the author of the chapter of this book. But here I am standing, having a different role and celebrating this result of our work after 1 year. And I think it's a very important day for me, and it's also an important day for our team. And so today we are going to have 5 sections. The first one is the opening remark and greeting remark by János Chetényi, MCC Learning Institute Director and the mentor of the Learning from Asia project. Following that, we are going to have an academic reflection by Professor Gábor Halász and my mentor of the Learning from Asia project as well. And following that, we are going to have an author's reflection for this book. And after that, we are going to have an open discussion for all participants. So you are all welcome to have a question and answer session. And we are going to end with the closing remark by János Chetényi. Thank you so much. So I would like to give the floor to János Chetényi. The floor is yours, and I would like to also invite Professor Gábor Halász.
Thank you very much. I hope that the online guests can see us through the camera. Thank you for your attendance as well. Very first, I would like to say very technical information. We promised a free copy of those who attend this little celebration, and you will get it after this event. We plan this event approximately 1 hour, and I will be very short, mostly technical. 1 year ago, when we decided with Gábor to start this project, Learning from Asia in Education, I had in mind 2 major projects in the Learning Institute. One, the so-called conservative education, where we tried to revive the grand European traditions of education. Remember that in the 19th century, early 20th century, Europe was the absolute model of good education, and everybody was following us. Those glorious days are probably a little bit over at the moment, but we try to revive the most valuable traditions. Asia, this other project, the second one, is used as an inspiration. It doesn't mean that we have to import things and to implement directly from Asia, but certainly we can learn a lot from the Asians, and they serve us as a very, very strong source of inspiration and sometimes even admiration. It was very funny in this project, that's a personal remark, to see the original resistance of our Asian PhD students when we talked about our admiration of certain Asian things. Most of the experts at the very beginning even opposed the title, Learning from Asia in Education. The Asians proposed Learning with Asia. And whenever in China, in our second fact-finding visit now, which we just finished with Professor Gábor Halász, they stated very clearly, every Chinese guest and partner, that they still want to learn from Europe in the future. So it's not questioned and not challenged. So it's a source of inspiration. This is our first child, but we have more than one children as a fruition of our efforts. One is the book. Of course, we are celebrating the book, but when I say celebrating the book, we're also celebrating a small academic community which is now global, not just Hungarian, and those who were the authors or the project managers, the coordinators, the co-workers of this wonderful enterprise or journey, they are also celebrated. This is my short introduction. At the very end, I would like to tell my thanks and my appreciation to all who contributed to this project and to this book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, János. As János said, this is more than a book. The book itself is the edited, written version of those lectures which were presented at the Learning from Asia conference last year. But behind the book, there is a long and complex project that we are doing as part of a community. This community building has been a very important element of this project. A community of Western and Eastern Asian academics and also PhD students. We are working together with this community, and we want to continue to work together with this community. If you look at the book, at the conceptual framework of the whole project, you find the explanation of the reason why we started this project, and I would like to read 2 sentences from this. We think that East Asian education systems have accumulated valuable knowledge and experience, especially through recent reforms that are worth being explored, interpreted, and presented. We are convinced that this knowledge and these experiences can significantly improve our capacity to understand and face the challenges our education systems are confronted with in the 21st century in Europe in general and in Hungary in particular. So this is the rationale behind starting this project. A very important element of this project was the creation of a community of Asian PhD students studying in Hungary. From the very beginning, we were looking at these students as a source of knowledge. We wanted to learn from them, and I think that that has been realized. That's one of the reasons why one part of the book contains those lectures, those studies that they were presenting at the conference, and they wrote for this book. And recently, there is an important follow-up of this activity together with one of our partners, an Australian university, Monash University. We are working now on a second book, which will contain studies written by Asian PhD students studying there in Australia and studying here. And in these chapters, they will present the way they were influenced by studying what we call Asia as method. That kind of thinking which is encouraging Asians to rely increasingly on the cultural background they have. Those who want to know more about the project, I recommend that you visit the website of the project. On the MCC website, you find a project website which gives very detailed information about everything. And now, let me say a few words about the whole conceptual framework of this project. In the book, you find one chapter which is presenting that. And this conceptual framework was created working together with our partners. We had several meetings with our partners. We were presenting the first ideas to them, and the the chapter about that in the book was born from this cooperative action. Although I appear as the author of this chapter, in fact, this is the outcome of a common work. In this conceptual framework chapter, you find a number of dilemmas presented, those dilemmas that anyone doing that kind of activity is confronted with. I do not have the time to present all of them. There are 9 such dilemmas mentioned. I mentioned perhaps 3 of them. The first one challenge was how to define Asia. We have a very strong interest in East Asia, especially in China, but we have a broad understanding of Asia. We include also South Asia, we include also Central Asia, which is reflected also in the composition of the authors. So we kept this broad definition of Asia. The second, which is an interesting question, that why we talk about learning from Asia, why not about mutual learning? Several of our Asian partners were telling us that instead of learning from Asia, you should talk about learning from each other. But we insisted. We insisted to keep the original perspective, because once we start mutual learning, sooner or later it becomes Asians learning from the West, and we wanted to avoid that. So that's why we kept this unilateral perspective. And maybe the third thing that I would mention from these dilemmas that this conceptual framework presents is the understanding of learning. When we talk about learning from Asia, we have a broader understanding of learning. We do not just learn from them, but we are learning from communicating with them, interacting with them. So this is learning together from what we are doing together. In that sense, our learning notion is quite broad. This conceptual framework also defines a number of special thematic focuses. Those thematic focuses that we were inviting the authors to focus on, these are high-performing Asian systems, analyzing the specific reforms of Asian education systems, entrepreneurship, that's a very strong element of education in Asia, the policy design process, the policy implementation process, the policy experimentation, which is very typical in many Asian countries, the innovation potential of Asian education systems, and the innovation performance of Asian systems, then historical, political, and cultural dimensions, and what is particularly valuable for us, the cognitive and philosophical dimensions of learning from Asia. At that time, it was not yet in our sight, but now it is increasingly in our sight. A further topic, and this is university, industry, university, business cooperation. This is again one topic which is very, very strong in many Asian countries, especially in China. And one of the follow-up activities that we are planning is to add this new orientation to what we are doing. Recently, we decided to initiate a new project working together with Chinese partners in this area. Well, this is what I could add to what János said about this book, and I hope that you will enjoy reading it. It's really a valuable content.
Thank you very much. In the forthcoming minutes, we would like to call the authors to the stage, and we gave them 3 questions to reflect shortly. One is my personal journey in the process of this bookmaking project. What did I learn and things like that. The second thing is how will I use this book in my environment, in my job? And the third question is that what kind of plans I have concerning this new network, new academic community which was formed in the course of this bookmaking project. So my personal journey, how will I use the book, and how to maintain this network of people, this academic community of Asian students. Who will be the first? Dear authors, just come to stage. After the old people, you give the stage to the young ones. No, just come. And then we change, okay?
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Thiri. I am from Myanmar or Burma, and I also participated in this project and in this book. And for the first question, my personal journey through this collaboration is that I don't want to generalize this as Asian or Burmese character or trait, but it's me. I realized that I was always focusing on binary thinking, like if something is not white, it's black. And through this, participating through this project, I realized that there are also gray areas. Not everything is black and white. And that's the first thing I learned. And the second one is this project, participating in this book, and the whole project encouraged me to focus more on cultural specific thinking. I was always interested in this way of thinking, multiculturalism and everything, but participating in this project made me reassure that I am really interested in that. And also while writing my chapter or my part of the book, I also learned from my co-authors, like who are my colleagues and classmates, especially from Multi. When we were preparing like the first draft, second draft, I was, to be honest, I was struggling to understand the concept translation from Asia's method components. And then I had a look at my colleagues' drafts, and then they helped me, like their work, their first drafts helped me understand it better. So that is what I realized and what I learned. And from all the way through the preparing this book and for the conference presentations, it was also my first experience that, because before as a PhD student, I also participated in many other conferences, but we didn't have this pre-conference workshops. And I really appreciate that because it helped me, and I think all the rest authors as well, a lot in creating a better piece. I think that's all from my part. Thank you. Who will be the next?
I guess since you mentioned my name, like I'm obliged to go out now. Good morning, everyone. My name is Moldir, and I'm also one of the authors of the chapter of this book. I was born and raised in Kazakhstan. However, when I was in high school, I got a scholarship to go and study in the US. So this is the time when actually my Western type of thinking has formed, because in high school, like, you are very vulnerable, you're very malleable, so you get soaked other people's opinion and the way they perceive things. So when I came back, I got this superiority of Western type of thinking, that everything that is in the West, in the Americas, in the US are better than in the East or Asia. Then I graduated the high school in Kazakhstan, went to the international university. Again, it was a completely different type of university built in Kazakhstan, where all of the faculty members came from Western countries. So basically they built an international island in Kazakhstan, where I did not really had a lot of interaction with my, with local scholars, with local professors. There were a couple of them, but not many. So again, this Western type of thinking was encouraged also in university. And when I was doing my studies, writing my master's thesis, I always looked at Western theories and tried to apply them to Kazakhstan, to Central Asia, which is kind of a gray area now in research, because it's between West and East. Like, we're in the middle. Like, who are you? And then I came to Hungary again with this Western type of thinking. I started applying again this Western theories to Asian, Central Asian countries, to Kazakhstan. And when Professor Hallis is my PhD supervisor, and he always encouraged me to look at the local scholars. At that time, I was very hesitant too, because I was like, why? All of the source of knowledge come from Western countries. Why would I look at Kazakhstani scholars? And again, having like research in Central Asia, it's a different topic, but there wasn't much data at that time, like 5 years ago. So what changed with me when I was writing the chapter for Learning from Asia as a method book is I changed my shift to focus on Asian sources and to analyze not only Western theories, but see what our people are saying actually from Central Asia, from Eastern Asia, from all types of the Asia, how it can be applied in a different way. How can we rethink the Western theories that could be applicable to origins of my research? How do I plan to use this book? Well, currently I work in a school as a teacher and university counselor, and I do have a lot of Asian students. Chinese, Korean, Japanese, there's a lot of Asian students that come and they do act differently, and it's a challenge to teach them in an international environment where you have Hungarians, Americans, who else do we have? Like people from Europe. So I do want to understand Asian way of thinking, Asian way of perceiving knowledge. That's one thing. And when I guide students to apply to university, they all want to go to West. They want to stay in Europe or they want to go to Americas. Nobody considers going to China. Although we have like New York University, which has campuses in Shanghai, in Abu Dhabi, and in New York, everybody wants to go to New York. Nobody wants to go to Abu Dhabi or to Shanghai. So this is the other thing that I want to learn from this project and to keep in touch, so I can also encourage other people to shift their perspective, to broaden up their minds to other parts of the world. And yeah, that touches a little bit on my future plans. And since I get one copy, I'm going to give it to my principal in school, because she's also interested in international education and particularly in Asia as well. So thank you for this opportunity to be a part of the project. I do appreciate that.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Bimba. I'm a junior researcher at this project. At the same time, I'm a PhD student at ELTE. So I'm having two roles in this project. So what I learned from this project was very interesting, because as a Mongolian person, and my major is in English language, so from the childhood, my tendency was to look to other countries, to learn their culture, to learn English, to study what Europeans or what US is doing. So after I joined this project, it was a sudden shift. Wow, I need to look into Asia. So I need to look into my home country, how the education system is, how is the tradition is, how is the value is. So the switch thing happened, and due to this process, I recognized that how important my country's value, tradition, culture, history is very important. And actually, while I contributed a chapter to this book. So while I was writing this chapter, I used the Asia's method. And my focus was to explore the English language curriculum of upper secondary education through the lens of Asia's method. So what I learned from this chapter is that in my country, I felt that we teach English, or we learn English on the basis of concept of US or Europeans or other countries. So for example, let me give you an example. So John is doing that. John is doing this. So it's all in other foreign language, foreign name. But as a result of writing this chapter, I recognized that, okay, we should put our own traditional value and using English language as a tool instead of, learning from this other country's culture. So that's something I learned. And second of all, Professor Gabor Halas and the Learning from Asia project highly encouraged the authors to have a self-reflection in this chapter, which was also actually very challenging, because usually when I attend the conference, they say it in academic way, say it in scientific way. So reflection is something, you need to think on yourself, like personal reflection. So I felt it was very challenging, but after reading so many articles and chapters, I recognized that, okay, this is something very valuable as a researcher in my future career. So thank you for this, encouraging this component. So thank you very much, and I'm really happy to see the chapter in the book. Thank you. And the floor is also available for the online participants.
So hi everyone, I'm Anissa and I'm from the Philippines, but unlike the other authors, I didn't focus on my country, but the Asian students that are studying here. So it's truly an honor to share insights from our work, which is focused on the intercultural engagement of Asian PhD students. So as someone as deeply engaged in international education, I'm grateful to present a piece that highlights our experiences, the resilience and adaptability of Asian doctoral students who venture far from home to pursue their studies. So this article does not only focus on the academic demands that they experience, but also the personal and intercultural challenges that comes with studying in a new country. It explores how these students navigate differences, build connections, and overcome hurdles to create a sense of belonging. And by sharing their stories, we hope to increase understanding and support within our academic communities, fostering environments where every international student can thrive. So thank you so much for the opportunity of sharing our experiences.
Is there anyone who would like to? Actually, I would like to open the floor to the online participants. I can see Yupu, Yingji from the PhD authors, and I can see from the senior authors, Catherine Forster and Professor Gyuri Janos. So I would like to welcome these authors. Can you hear us? I mean, okay. Catherine Forster, can I please? You are muted. I can see you, but you are muted. I mean, she's on, and but the microphone, we cannot hear you. It's muted. We cannot hear you. Oh. Okay, now we can hear you. Yes.
You can hear me. Okay. Hello. Well, it's very nice to be back in touch with this academic community. For me, this was a very welcome opportunity to revisit my research, the research that I had been a part of, which was a case study exploring how one Western country, namely the UK, sought to learn from high performers in East Asia, including Hong Kong. And by revisiting it, I think it was very good because I was able to not only update it, but identify its continued relevance. Even though it is in part a historical case study now, it is still very, very relevant. And I think that was a very good journey to make. And of course, I learned a lot from the other participants as a part of the group, which has helped bring a fresh perspective and fresh relevance to our project. That's what I can say.
Thank you very much. We can see Yingji, Shu Yingji, and Yupu. I can see you smiling, Shu, so can I please ask you to say a few words. How was your journey? How was your personal reflection? And what did you feel writing about the chapter? You're muted, actually, so we cannot hear you. Okay, I can see you speaking, but you are muted. No, okay. So while you're fixing the issue, Yupu, can you hear us? No? Okay, now I can see you switching on the camera. Yes.
Yes, I can hear. Hello, everyone. I'm Yupu. I'm from China, and I was the author of this first book. And I would like to share of my point, because actually this writing process for this book chapter, which gave me an opportunity to revisit, relink, and to rethink my own country theory and concepts, which I didn't touch in that step before, and because I already involved in that environment for the daily life, so I cannot really recognize which influenced me so much. But after this project, it's given me a chance to relink my previous knowledge and my experience, also include my previous research behavior, and give me more perspective and kind of the old, new. It's, I think the theory already there. It's kind of the old thing, but it's open my new door, and I wanted to view this perspective to learn more, and I think I previously take a more negative perspective of some kind of the policies, but for now I understand more, and I get the more inclusive perspectives to view the other things as well, and also include my own life experience, not only for the research. So I think I benefit a lot of from this project. But I also have the dilemma for how to introduce this book chapter or this project to the others, because 1 year ago, 2 years ago, I cannot really understand what is this concept, and also I introduced this concept to the other people's which around me, or they are some of the researchers and the PhD students and the other people, or they are doctor, Chinese doctor. They are so into that Chinese concept, but they also really hard to understand what is learning from Asia and Asia as a method. So I think it's one of the dilemma for me if I wanted to introduce to others, but others cannot that easy to understand and accept this. And I also, I think it's a question I want to ask for Professor Hallers and Janusz, whether they have the same situation when they wanted to introduce it to the others. I think that's what I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I can see from the senior authors, Professor Janusz Gyuri, I would like to ask you to give your personal reflection on writing the chapter and being part of this project, and what was your feeling?
Yes, thank you very much, and I think it is good to communicate following my own PhD student, because previous my PhD student working on her thesis. So for me, this journey was something very interesting, because in Hungary, this was the first time that a team started to concentrate systematically on Asian education. You may know, you may remember from my presentation and my chapter as well, that I personally started to publish about Japanese education, later Singaporean, Chinese, Vietnamese, South Korean and other educations in Asia almost 30 years ago, so a long time ago. So I was very happy to take part in this project because since that time, I started to publish about these educational systems many years ago. This is the first case that a team of professionals concentrates on this area and the issue of Asian education. My approach personally is not conservative, so my focus is not that understanding, but rather a kind of professional understanding of high-performing countries, how they were able to develop in education, how they were able to develop their societies via and because of their high-quality education. I understand.
I think the internet connection, I
Yes.
think. Okay.
Yes, in the morning I sent a message that my internet is not perfect.
Yes.
So sometimes I lose this meeting. I understand all the dilemmas which were mentioned by Professor Halász, and I think that that's a fundamentally very important starting point, how you conceptualize the entity, the unity of the research. You see, Asia, not easy to define what we mean when we are talking about Asia. Learning from or with Asia, jumping to the next dilemma. I also understand this dilemma very much. I liked the concept of learning with Asia, but I understand that we don't want to lose the focus of learning from Asia. So I would tell you learning from / with Asia. I think that is a more complex approach to this issue. And finally, the third dilemma, which was mentioned by Professor Halász from the 9 dilemmas, the learning. Yes, it would be very, very interesting to understand what learning means in this case, who learns what, why, and from whom. I also like the idea, how could Asia learn from Asia, high-performing countries from lower-performing countries, high-performing countries from high-performing other Asian countries, and so on and so on. So still, I think these doors are open and we can learn from each other and with each other a lot. And last something that I don't know the book itself. I know the presentations given by the conference, so I don't know how I can use the book, but I hope that I can use the book in my teaching activity at the university and also in my research. What I also hope, 2 things in the future. The first one, what I mentioned in my presentation and also I mentioned in my chapter, to improve comparative education research in Hungary, because comparative education research in our country is not that well developed. So I think this project is also good for improving comparative education research in Hungary. And the second one, that surprisingly, I haven't seen so many Hungarian PhD students in this project, you see. I hope that in the future the project can invite some Hungarian PhD students who are interested in Asian education and they can activate themselves in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. So I can see Shu's message, Shu Yingji's message in the chat. Is it complete or can I read it? Okay. Today I'm working at this school in Saudi Arabia, teaching a Chinese class to middle school first graders. Saudi Arabia and the other Arab countries in the Middle East are also part of Asia. But obviously they are very different from the countries in West Asia. public education in Saudi Arabia is very different from that in China, like two opposite extremes. The last 2 months have given me a lot to think about, but not in the way that I want to learn. So this was his comment, and he is one of the PhD author in this chapter, and thank you very much for this comment. So I would like to give the floor to the audience, and can I please ask you to change the camera to on this side so the online participants can actually see. Yes, can you please? So I would like to give the floor to the in-person attendees. Okay. If there is no one, actually this is now, we can start our open discussion session, the question and answer. Is there any questions that you would like to have an answer? So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I break the silence, and I really appreciate this book. I'm really curious about the content, so I surely read it. I'm also a teacher and a researcher, so my question to the Asian colleagues that how do you see these Western progressive trends in education? What are the shockwaves in Asia about it? Or are there any? Thank you.
I would like to ask whether the cultural differences in the way that we see children in different societies impact upon the lessons that we can learn from education systems. So in the UK, I would say that we see children as being very vulnerable, very fragile. You know, if we give them a spelling test or ask too much of them, then they might have mental health problems. And it seems to me that there's probably a different idea of childhood in many Asian countries. And I was just wondering if you found that.
Would you like to start answering, or should I collect all the questions? Okay, is there anyone who would like to add questions? Okay, here.
I would like to ask, is this thing on? Yes. This isn't what I wanted to ask. I would like to ask if the Hungarian education system specifically, in which ways could the Hungarian education system specifically be improved with methods and techniques and secrets and tips learned from Asia?
Thank you. First of all, I'm really grateful for this project. As a young secondary school student who is really interested in Chinese culture, I'm really grateful to it. And in Hungarian education system, I can talk about elementary school and high school. There are literally nothing about Asian culture, and I'm really grateful that this project, I hope, can help about improving it. And what are the attendees think about how we can improve that on the Hungarian educational system? Thank you.
Let's start with the last comment. Last year in autumn, we had a wonderful journey to Esztergom, in a small, beautiful Hungarian town, when MCC university program students met with our Asian PhD hub people. They were from countryside towns of Hungary, And some of them told us that the best thing was not the academic content of this meeting, but the meeting with Asians, because they have never met Asians personally before. They were Hungarian university students, good ones, selected ones to the MCC university program. So yes, we need more meetings and personal connections, and you will have a chance now to stay after the meeting and to network with Asians. Not only Chinese, the others are very, very nice people too. Actually, even Europeans, even Europeans. Okay. The other thing, Gabor will probably react on these progressive things, but before that, the view on children. I agree that there is a gap between these approaches, although although I have to say that this image, this vulnerable image of children, nurturing children, the cult of child personality, and the despise of adulthood and maturity, the horror of old people, and the cultivation of young people. That is a new phenomenon in the European tradition, coming from, of course, this consumer society, and let's say in Europe from the 60s. So we do have a tradition where children is considered as a potential, and we think that children can thrive in very challenging situations, and they can help their growing up, and maturity is, as Shakespeare wrote once, maturity is all. So this is the point of adoration. Adulthood is a target, a glorious goal for young people. So I think the other project, the conservative project, will help us to refine our focus in this respect and to resist the therapeutic, I cannot pronounce that, this medicalization of children in the classroom. So what about progressives and Asia?
Let me first react to what Yupu mentioned, the understanding and communicating about the Asia's method approach. Well, for me, after I discovered this line of thinking, I think I needed about half a year to really understand the content. So I was reading a lot of original text, but not only the original text, but also those critical reflections that helped me to understand. And when I am trying to help understand others to do that, typically I don't expect a quick understanding. That's important. And the second thing is that it's not just explaining what it is, transmitting something I know, but it is in dialogue. So we are having conversations, and slowly through these conversations the meaning can emerge. So this is what I would react to what Yupu was asking. And now the progressivity question. There are two misunderstandings. One of them is what János also referred to, that what we call progressive approach in education, that's a new development also in the West. If you go back, 20 years in this country, or maybe 40, 50 years in the UK, the education was dominated by the classical traditional approach. And the other understanding, which is misunderstanding, which is less known, that if you want today to see very, very progressive approaches, just go to China. In China, we visited schools where we saw flourishing creativity, very, very autonomous children, full self-governing mechanisms, where children were creating curricula, they were taking leadership roles. So I think that now a system like the Chinese one is very, very diverse. Of course, you find many, many schools which work like 100 years ago, but you also find super innovative schools. We were very much discussing with János about the creativity of Asian people and our Asian students. I would say that I don't see any difference. No, I would rather say that if you want to find really creative people, then go to Asia. Of course, you have to give some encouragement to show it, to reveal it. If you don't do it, it does not appear, but the creativity is definitely there. And the question about what we can learn from Asia, well, the whole book is about that, but let me add a few things. One of them is connected with the previous question. If you want to learn about how to move from a traditional way of teaching and learning to a child-centered way of teaching and learning without sacrificing quality and performance, then that's a good way to look at Asia. So this is showing, what we saw in Asia is showing that these two things, providing child-centered education and at the same time high quality, high performance education, that can be reconciled. There is no opposition between those things. And maybe one thing that I would add, that one of those things that we have been fascinating while traveling in Asia, something that I would describe as hunger for knowledge. So everywhere we went, we met people, adults, young people, who had a very, very strong wish to learn, to get knowledge. And even if they already have knowledge, even if they already have wisdom, they are never, never satisfied with it. They want even more. So this hunger for knowledge, this is something what is fascinating. And finally, the child well-being question. I could see many signs, especially in China, but well, in Japan that's very much, also in Korea, that this performance pressure that they have been traditionally putting on children now is combined with a very, very increasing attention to the psychological well-being of children. That's an increasing concern. I had conversation with tiger moms who are putting pressure on their children. And I heard these persons talking about the concerns they have for the psychological well-being of their children. So I think that we have to modify a little bit our ideas about the Chinese tiger mom. They definitely are concerned by the well-being of children.
My final remark is a question. If we help in this process to liberate the Asian mind and to become again more Asian, is it a decolonization agenda there? You know, it's very fashionable. There is no such a thing. And all the Asian partners were very stubborn in one issue, namely that they still want to learn from the West, and they want to be in the middle and not in one ideological extreme of this whole process. So it's not a decolonization agenda. It is just finding the base entity, as they call in the Asian method their identity, but also maintain this very intensive flow of knowledge, wisdom, information. Thank you very much, and I am looking at the organizers because we are now heading to the end of this nice program. I would be happy if you would still stay here for a little bit of chat and networking, but do we have now the books we promised here? We have. So is it the free robbery scenario, or maybe I go there to make it more civilized, and you approach me, okay, and I will give everyone a personal copy. Those authors who already received copies, they should wait a little bit, let's see the end, but the newcomers who are not part of the projects can come first, okay? Thank you very much, and also thank for our guests and colleagues online. Have a nice day, for them probably afternoon, and thank you for the participation.
Thank you.